We're expecting around about the 40,000 mark in Thurles, and Liam Sheedy here beside me. They are mostly red, so the visiting fans are the ones who are well outnumbering the Tipperary supporters. What's that like for a Tipperary player coming out, home ground, huge match for both, and he sees all opposition supporters around him?
Look, it's not ideal, Joanna, and it's probably been a scene for the last number of years. You know, I suppose in some ways they've been very fortunate with the team they've had to follow for the last 10-15 years, but you know, Cork are here out of a face today. And look, the one thing I would say about, you know, and Liam Cahill made a big rallying cry for his team and his supporters and everyone to get behind him, but you know, it's not shown in the colour behind us. So, but we're a noisy crowd, so there might be a good bit to exactly. It needs to come out loud.
The problem is you're not much of a crowd is the issue at the moment, Liam. But what can Tipperary produce, do you think, Joe?
Well, they need to get the crowd behind them early on. They need to get goals today, I think. I think they need Jake Morris, Mark Keogh. In fairness to Keogh the last day, I thought he was very impressive and he was the one shining light up front for them. So if they can get goals, I think Stakelum will probably go out the field a little bit. They'll probably try and free up Ronan Maher like they normally do in the back. But for me, Tip need to go attack and get in top really early and get physical with Cork. Because if they let Cork get the running game up, they could be in trouble.
That's it, isn't it, Liam? The fact that Cork have these runners and the speed to go with it.
Yeah, they were very impressive last week. You know, the most impressive I've seen them in a long time. You know, I mean, to put 328 up on the scoreboard again, Limerick is hugely impressive. Like, Tip only managed to get 18 points against them. And what mostly impressed them was their hunger for the ball. I mean, on their own puckouts they won 11 breaks, and on Limerick's puckouts they won 14 breaks. They just brought a hunger to it, but they were well structured. They were physically very present on the day. They got a fair number of yellow cards, so they were exactly on for Pat Ryan last week. Now the question is, and we can't guarantee that with Cork, are they on again today? Because if they're 20-25% below that and Tip come 10-15% better than they were at Waterford, then we've got a match. And the likes of Jason Ford, Jake Morris and Mark Keogh, if these guys get space, they can hurt you. To Cathal Barrett there in screen, big player, massive game the last day. I expect he'll be tasked with the job of trying to quieten Alan Connolly, and probably Craig Morgan will be sent on after Patrick Horgan. But again, you know, Tip will need to find flow, as Joe said earlier on, and again, shutting down Darragh Fitzgibbon in the middle of the field, I think is going to be a key task for them.
Yeah, and who will be tasked with the fact that Darragh Fitzgibbon does offer so much?
Well, you have Tynan's probably gone to midfield, and Owen Connolly. Connolly's probably a bit more physical.
Yeah.
Mightn't necessarily maybe have the legs for Fitzgibbon. Oh, yeah.
The reality is there's probably no one in the country has the legs for Fitzgibbon. So
legs,
the thing is to stop him getting the ball, and I think Owen just might be more combative in terms of getting.
And it could be a thing of going the other way, because in fairness to Fitzgibbon, he's very good for going forward, but maybe the one little weak thing is going back to field. So if you get a guy on him that is maybe getting 2 or 3 points, it could be the likes of a Noel McGrath could go and get 2 or 3 points, and next thing you're kind of getting Fitzgibbon wondering, geez, I have to get on my man now, and not as good going forward then.
OK, everything is on the line for these two counties. They wouldn't mind having the rock in their defence today, Cork. Remember, if either team loses, well, one team will almost certainly lose today. If they do, they are out of the championship. Let's head over to our commentary team here in Thurles. Michael Dagnan is with Marty Morrissey.
Thank you very much, Joanne. Let's take a look at the teams. We start with Tipperary. Killadangan's Barry Hogan is the #1 man in Tipperary these days. A top-notch shot stopper. His puck-out success and variations may be vital against Cork. Numbers 2, 3 and 4 represents one of the Premier County's strongest lines, as Cathal Barrett, Ronan Maher and Craig Morgan have formed a very solid full back line. Centre-back Brian O'Mara is one of the best centre-backs in the country and is well supported by wingmen Michael Breen and Conor Bowe on either side of him. Alan Tynan and Owen Connolly have formed a solid centre-field partnership, but they face a serious challenge this afternoon. How they perform against the Cork midfield may well decide this championship encounter. Jason Ford leads the attack, but the Silvermines hurler has the advantage of having Gearóid O'Connor and the fabulous Noel McGrath on either side of him. Full forward Mark Keogh will ask serious questions of the Cork defence once he's given some quality ball. Jake Morris and Darragh Stakelum will add spice and some goal-scoring touches to that inside line. The Tipperary substitute bench looks strong enough, with Willie Connors, Seanie Kennelly, Patrick Bonner-Marr, Dan McCormack and John McGrath all present and available if needed. The Cork goalkeeper Patrick Collins has established himself as the first choice keeper on Lee's side for the last number of seasons. The Ballinhassig's keeper's puck-out strategy will be crucial. Owen Downey was very unlucky to be taken off so early last week against Limerick after picking up a yellow card. Niall O'Leary and Cork captain Sean O'Donoghue are in his corners. Wingbacks Tim O'Mahony and Mark Coleman are exceptional hurlers with different styles. At number 6 is the Glen Rovers man, Robert Downey. The Cork midfield has blossomed into a very strong partnership. Ethan Toomey from St Finbarrs has really stepped up to the challenge, supporting Darragh Fitzgibbon, who's outstanding against Limerick last weekend. Blarney's Shane Barrett is proving himself at the highest level this season, while Declan Dalton adds strength and determination. Seamus Harnedy is a 33-year-old back playing like a 16-year-old again. The Cork full forward line is exceptional. Patrick Horgan was heroic against Limerick, scoring 111, while Alan Connolly and Brian Hayes were both impressive at different times. The Cork 16 to 26 bench looks strong enough with the news that Kieran Joyce is back at number 19. Jeremy Mellerick, Tommy O'Connell, Shane Kingston and Jack O'Connor all have potential of seeing action. Now, we're pausing for a moment here because this weekend the GAA joins in the national commemoration of An Gcuirtear Mór as we pause to reflect on the devastation and suffering caused by the Great Hunger in Ireland of the late 1840s. As well as the harrowing loss of 1 million Irish lives, there was a deep impact on our native language, culture and games, and their presentation and promotion were an integral part of the GAA that was formed 140 years ago this year. The people here in Semple Stadium have now been asked to stand and pause for a moment to reflect on the lost lives of An Gcuirtear Mór. A very important moment here in Semple Stadium, Thurles. Once again, the crowd are asked to stand for our national anthem, Ará na Bhíon. Days ago, the atmosphere in Páirc Uí Chaoimh was electric. Let me tell you, in the glorious sunshine of Semple Stadium, it is exactly the same. Thomas Walsh from the Modelico Club between Dungarvan and Cappoquin is the man in charge. A battle that began between Cork and Tipperary 136 years ago in Bunavan when the match was abandoned. Well, we're starting a new chapter. What will it be tonight? What will we be talking about? Red and white, blue and gold. The Rebels against the Premier. And it's Tipperary into the attack. Here comes a shot. Patrick Collins has an opportunity. Back in the net. Incredible start. 20 seconds. Mark Kill at the end. Right from the throw in. New chapter, new game. May 19th, 2024, and we already have drama.
Yeah, but that was Noel McGrath, the great Noel McGrath, the vision to pick out Conor Bowe in the overlap, and Mark Kill probably couldn't miss then after the ball was saved. What a start.
And away comes Darragh Fitzgibbon. Not the start that Cork would want. The Charleville man responds with a magnificent score. 5 points against Limerick in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. 1 point already against Tipperary.
Yeah, the pace of Fitzgibbon, arguably the best hurler in Ireland this year during the championship. What a score and what a start. And Marty, the atmosphere is unbelievable, as you said, and it looks like 3-1 from Cork in the crowd. A full house here in Semple Stadium.
Barry Hogan with the long puck out, dropping it down to the Cork territory. Hops in towards Owen Downey. Mark Coleman comes away with it. Quick hands as Cork work their way out of the defensive zone. Tim O'Mahony just getting it for as Robert Downey. Glen Rovers star going long. Should be Tipperary defender's ball, and it is. Well taken. It's exactly what Tipperary needed. Didn't quite connect. Jake Morris. Nicely picked up by Niall O'Leary. Dropping it in, 2 against 2. Runs on. Opportunity comes. Oh, what a save! Barry Hogan from Brian Hayes. An absolute rasper. There's more drama as that ball goes wide. What a start. Let me tell you, we've only had 1 minute and 58 seconds played.
Yeah. Michael Breen missed the ball there. Brian Hayes, what a save. Lovely hype and a great save, and Alan Connolly followed up and scooped it wide.
Killadangan's finest. Barry Hogan goes long. Picked up by Tim O'Mahony. Rolling it along. Owen Connolly. Scooping it in. Laying it up towards Mark Keogh. Taking on Downey. Taking on Cork defence. He's pulled down. Is that outside the large rectangle? Is it the potential of a goal-scoring opportunity? Tipperary are protesting.
Well, that's what the Tip players are calling for. It's not that I think they're free, but they're saying it's a goal-scoring chance.
Let's have a look at it here, Michael.
Yeah, it's definitely outside, but it's the goal-scoring chance that they're arguing. The black card, the goal-scoring chance. And it looks like the referee is considering that now.
He's going over to his linesman. This is part of the
He's probably just taking his time, but he's just checking in. Did he think it was a goal-scoring chance? He's consulting.
Sean Stack with the linesman over there, and he's having.
I think he's the last covering defender, you know. Not just sure if Mark Keogh got his feet a bit mixed up there, so I know Sean was coming in behind him. I thought he took a little bit of a tumble himself. No.
Sean O'Donoghue, the Cork captain, was keeping an ear on what was happening between the officials. Noel McGrath still protesting. Opportunity here for Mark Keogh. Sean O'Donoghue. That's going to be a yellow card, and it's very early in the match to be picking up a yellow card. Free to be taken by Jason Ford. Scored 9 times against Limerick, 8 of them frees. 3 against Waterford, 2 frees. And he gets his first here in Semple Stadium.
Yeah, and Foreman's gone 3 goal chances already. What a start.
Patrick Collins goes down the middle. Easily gathered by Alan Tynan from Roscrea. Laying it off as Tipperary go in pursuit of scores, but this time the ball is right and wide. First wide of the match for the home side. Patrick Collins going long. The long ball strategy aiming for Brian Hayes worked against Limerick. He was doing a Gearóid Hegarty on it, if you know what I mean. Normally Nicky Quaid does that with Gearóid. Certainly it's a plan that seemed to work well for Cork. They get a free. Chance for Patrick Horgan to get his hands on the sliotar for the first time.
Yeah, just looking there, we have a second mark. Jake Morris is out at wing forward, Noel McGrath centre forward, and Tip have just gone with a 2-man full forward, and Dara Stakesham is inside with Mark Keogh, and Conor Bowe back looked to be sweeping there as well early on in the game.
Patrick Horgan raises a white flag for the first time. Remarkable scoring feat so far. In 3 games, he scored 3 goals and 28 points. First in this crucial match. Do or die. It's knockout, like the old-fashioned days. And it's Tipperary. They win the ball back. Jason Ford scoops it out and sends it between the posts and over the bar. Man who made his championship debut against Kilkenny 11 years ago. Still producing it at the highest level.
Yeah, lovely tidy score. Mark Keogh actually came out from full forward, broke it down. Lovely pick up and over the bar from Keogh.
Again, Patrick Collins goes long. Picked up here by Shane Barrett. Lifting it onto the boss of the hurling and flicking that over the bar.
And it's certainly very open. Typical of Cork, they're putting up huge scores, but they're conceding huge scores. We saw that last week, and the same pattern emerging already today.
'25-year-old Barry Hogan going long, knocked down, picked up by Dara Fitzgibbon. Niall O'Leary goes long in towards the corner. Patrick Horgan makes an angle on the 20-meter line. Is that over the bar? My word, it is. Patrick Horgan. What a wonderful hurler. 36 years of age since the 5th of May.
Yeah, brilliant strike, but the speed of his feet there as well. He's not getting any worse as the years go on.
Nicely picked up by Mark Hill, laying it back. Almost stopped by Declan Dalton. 50-50 ball. Owen Downey is in there. Tipperary have it here. They should have it. Noel McGrath is the number 12. Gerard O'Connor. Dara Stakeham. Bit of a stalemate, but Tipperary have it. And that is Jake Morris, who flicks that over the bar. Good score by the Nina Aero clubman.
Yeah, and he's a very good record against Cork in the last couple of years. And lovely tidy score again. Tipping very, very economical so far. Loads of space for both sets of forwards, and the conditions perfect. What a game.
Patrick Collins, interestingly, not going short, but going long. Nicely picked up by Alan Connolly. Connolly taps that over the bar. Scored 1-4 against Waterford. 4 points in the 2 games between Clare and Limerick, and certainly is a player of rich potential.
Yeah, it seems to be a tactic of Cork's and puck out straight down the middle. 4 tip lads stuck in, and Cork lads looking for the break all over the place.
Breaking ball. Jake Morris. Conor Bowe. Lovely scale. The finish, is it as good? Not quite. Disappointment for him as the second wide of the match for Tipperary. Back 3 years ago, he was a Tipperary footballer, now concentrating on hurling. Here comes Cork, bearing down Alan Connolly. He's taken down unequivocally. Alan Connolly, the DNA is great. Uncles Tom and Jim Cashman of the 3 in a row Cork side, 76, 77, 78.
Yeah, and he has been some addition, I think, to the Cork forward line this year. You know, everyone knows who Alan Connolly is now, but he heads for goal. That's what I love about him. He's looking to see if the goal chance is on all the time. He's missed half a goal chance before that. He's already scored a point and foul there for that free. And Ronan Maher now on the yellow card as well.
Early days to be getting yellow cards, Michael.
It is on a day like today. You know, the pace of that Cork forward line, you know, we talked about in the build-up, and look at the bench with Shane Kingston, Jack O'Connor, Conor Lehan as well, all ready to come on if they're needed, and that's, I think, going to be very telling on a hot day like today.
Patrick Horgan. Easy for him. 3 points. He's now scored. Level for the first time after that sensational goal within the first minute by Tipperary. Tuck out is a good one for us, Noel McGrath. Owen Connolly stopped in his tracks. Shoulder to shoulder. Physicality is present. Munster Championship. Tim O'Mahony scooping it for us. The Charleville man, Dara Fitzgibbon, laying it off. First and a half forward, Shane Barrett. This is better for Cork. Great score by the All-Ireland under-20 medalist from 4 years ago from Blarney.
Yeah, and he was the man that chased back there, dispossessed Owen Connolly. He was involved in the track back, then turned him, gone the other way, and that pace is everywhere around that Cork team.
Cork have responded well, haven't they, Michael?
Yeah, they have indeed. Tip have been living on scraps, but they still, you know, there's only a point in it. They'll be happy enough as well.
Gerard O'Connor going for the score. Oh, beautiful. Great score. He really had a great league as well, establishing himself over the last number of seasons on the starting 15 for Tipperary.
Yeah, lovely catch. He made room for himself. Great year, a couple of years with UL now, and very well established in the tip team.
Declan Dalton just stepped out over the sideline. He might protest, but the linesman was right there. Pulled on first time by Mark Coleman. Linesman indicates again it's gone out over the sideline. He's right beside it. The Dublin official can afford a smile. Yeah. Sean Stack, of course, his dad, what a hurler he was, part of the Clare team back in 77 and 78. They won the National League with Ger Loughnane and Sean Hare, recognised as one of the best half-back lines. Now a referee, of course, his son in Dublin, as Patrick Collins comes out, looking to see who's available. That's a good ball from Ballinhassig. Getting it down towards Ethan Toomey. Here's the call from his right corner back, Niall O'Leary. O'Leary goes for the score. Oh, he hit it beautifully. Championship debutant against Limerick back in 2019. He's established as number 2 on this Cork side.
Yeah, and he's followed Jake Morris out the field. That's why he was in that position. And you know, all these cornerbacks can do this nowadays. Back in the day, that wouldn't be the case.
Long ball, easily gathered. Good work by Downey to the brother Robert. Mark Coleman going for distance. They can't leave this man alone for very long. The Cork crowd celebrate even when he hits it wide.
Yeah, he nearly had too much time if there's such a thing. But Cathal Barrett, obviously, lost in the sun, lost the ball or whatever. But Patrick Horgan loads of spacing. Very disappointed with that wide.
Good puck out again from Barry Hogan. Alan Tynan. 2 against 2. It falls nicely. Opportunity for Dara Stakler. He worked hard.
He should have passed it outside Noel McGrath right on his own in the middle there. Good score by Stakler, but if he looks again on his right-hand side, nobody within 20 yards of Noel McGrath.
All 3 in the Tipperary full forward line have now scored. Meanwhile, Darragh Fitzgibbon with the diagonal ball aimed over towards Alan Connolly. Last touch goes to Tipperary. Sideline ball, that is.
Ronan Maher coming over to take this. He hits these a long way.
All-Ireland minor medalist back in 2012. Of course, he's won 2 All-Ireland since. He knows what it takes to win an All-Ireland and a Munster Championship. Good cut in as well, but it's easily cut out by Ethan Toomey. Sends it short for Shane Barrett. Darragh Fitzgibbon has gone for the return pass. Seamus Harnedy, I think between them, then messed it up, but Harnedy recovers well. Good vision, saw that his colleague was gone inside. Here's Fitzgibbon bearing down on goal, the North Cork man, and he uses the short grip and sends that over the bar. The man is on fire, there's no doubt about it. Darragh Fitzgibbon from Charleville in North Cork.
Yeah, great play by Harnedy. You know, lovely little flick over the top, and Fitzgibbon is just the man at the moment. Another makes it look easy, and another easy score.
Good hands, great hands, Jake Morris. Surely hands. Advantage being played by the referee off camera. There was nothing really developing. The referee is 100% correct. And that's a free for Tipperary. Great catch though, wasn't it, Michael?
Great catch, and you know, you just watch again there, Declan Dalton, the ground he covered to come back to double up on Jake Morris. Cork's work is very, very impressive, but Tip being very economical, and here's a chance now. It's going to be a draw match again. You expect Jason Ford to land this one. It's not an easy free, but one of the top free takers out there.
30-year-old Jason Ford. Between the 45 and 65. Follow through was perfect. Never in any doubt. Sides level for the 3rd time and simple. Diagonal ball again. Same to Seamus Harnedy. Referee blows his whistle. Felt that Harnedy was being tripped as he was running for the possession and for the slither. Soft enough free for Cork, but it was a free.
Does a clip, and just Ronan Maher now on a yellow, another foul there. He's just going to have to be very, very careful, and it could be a big call for Liam Cahill to consider after 15 minutes. Ronan Maher is the spiritual leader of that team. He's experienced enough probably not to get involved in anything else, but you just has to be very, very careful.
It was funny last week in Park Cree where Owen Downey picked up an early yellow and Cork took him off. We were all surprised, but I think it was the fear of a second yellow and losing a man.
Exactly.
Patrick Horgan with his 4th point of the match. Hogan changes the direction of his puck out. 50-50 ball. Battling in there is Jake Morris, but Cork have it with Mark Coleman. Jim O'Mahony from Newtown Chandler had to protect himself with the diagonal ball as a poor one. Conor Bowe. And that Cullen Bonner actually brought into the squad a couple of years ago. Mark Hill, good hands again. giving it back outside. Chance for Gearóid O'Connor, trying to get past the initial challenge that presents itself. And from outside the Cork 45, O'Connor did well. Second point of the match for the Moyne Temple Tuohy player. He's a big, tall lad. Oh, great physical strength. Fine hurler.
Yeah, Mark Keogh causing plenty of problems. It's a great ball by Conor Bowe, you'd have to say, but Keogh got the head up and picked out O'Connor. Lovely score.
Good puck out by Patrick Collins. Sideline ball, won by Cork, won by Shane Barrett. Dara Fitzgibbon going to take this now. In fact, he's going to leave it for Declan Dalton.
Yeah, this guy's a massive striker, long range frees, line balls. He'll fancy this. I haven't watched him over the last few years. He's a brilliant striker.
He started his career as a goalkeeper. He's so good out the field. He's now number 10 on the Cork team and has good sideline ball as well. One Cork back, 3 Tipperary lads. Dalton is available. This is Shimmy to the right. Sideline ball goes to Tipperary. Good work by Conor Bowe.
Yeah, lovely hook there by Conor Bowe. He started very well for Tipperary.
Beautiful day here in Tipperary. I know that listening to the radio there was a weather forecast that we're going to have storms, but hopefully it'll stay away. This is perfect for hurling. Dara Fitzgibbon dances a jig around the Tipperary players and puts it on without touching the sliotar in his hand and flicks it over the bar for his third point of the game. Great stickman.
Yeah,
beautiful wrists. 2
players combining there. Mark Coleman, brilliant interception. Then Fitzgibbon, wizardry again.
Wonderful catch. Fielding here is superb. Mark Keogh dropping this in. Patrick Collins, good hands by the keeper as well. Now he was fouled, but full credit to Patrick Collins.
Yeah, he was up and on with it straight away. Lovely ball out the field and lovely free.
Passing is a lot better, I have to say, this afternoon, as that ball is sent in from way out the field, but it's curling to the right and wide. Cork's third wide of the match. Nothing between these two teams. Just 1 point. The puck out this time goes astray. Declan Dalton sends it back towards Barry Hogan. He'll be punished for the miscued puck out. That's over the bar for Declan Dalton's first point of the game. Good anticipation by Dalton.
Yeah, brilliantly read. And he's on fire out there. That half forward and very, very lively for Cork. Barry
Hogan goes long. Owen Downey leaves it to Niall O'Leary. Scoops it forward up towards Shane Barrett. He has an engine, this lad. Flicks it forward. 2 to chase. Ronan Marr. Conor Bowe. Referee allows the advantage. Great run. Scintillating Shane Barrett. He really has a great engine. And when he goes from 3rd to 5th, he literally takes off.
Yeah, he does. You saw the hand in there from Conor Bowe. Ronan Maher, you can see the effect had been on that card. He couldn't touch him, had to stand off and let him around him. And Patrick Horgan out from the sideline. Can't get over the crowd from Cork here, Marty. It's absolutely massive. The outnumber tip, I don't know by what, but there's Cork jerseys everywhere.
Well, you were telling me before we went on air that an hour after Cork beat Limerick in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, was it 10,000 tickets sold?
Something like 10,000 tickets sold in the first hour after the match, yeah.
Remarkable.
Well, the Cork got behind them. See, they got the performance down there against Limerick, and they reacted to that, and that's what supporters do.
Patrick Horgan sends this one to the left. Very untypical. It remains Cork 12 points, Tipperary 1-7. It's quite warm here, by the way, in Semple Stadium, 22 degrees, registering on the phone. So it's quite warm for the players as well.
The hurling carrier over the far side got a yellow. Bit of everything so far here.
Again, Barry Hogan goes long. Batted away by Tim O'Mahony. Picked up by Noel McGrath. Dropping it in. And sending it over the bar. Noel McGrath.
Well, that is just class. Sorry, Marty, but look at the pick-up and the flick of the wrist and over the bar. He's been very involved. We've gotten through him for a couple of puckouts as well. And No, Tipperary are going to be delighted with this. They're looking to be a little bit overrun at the back, but they're tipping away up front and keeping the game as close as it is.
Liam Cahill will be well pleased with the opening 20 minutes, 22 minutes. Hurling well. Referee has blown his whistle from way out the field as Owen Downey seemed to trip Dara Stakelum, I think it was, that was racing for possession. So it's a free for Tipperary, just to the right of the goalpost.
Yeah, you watch it here, just clipped him going out there. Definitely a free. And Dara Stakelum is one of these lads. He's very deceptive, very strong. He's not huge in height, but very, very good worker and very pacey. And himself and Keogh inside there doing very well.
Jason Ford has already scored 3 times. It's an easy one for him. Sides level for the 5th time. It's going to be one of those days, Michael.
I hope so.
Short puck out. Patrick Collins bearing it. Down towards Shane Barrett. He did well to control it. Good wrist. Ethan Toomey just leaving it behind him. Lovely little flick on by Seamus Harnedy. Good wrists again. Tipperary under a little bit of pressure here. Scoop it back out to Blarneyman. To Harnedy. Scored one of the goals against Limerick. Pulls the brakes. Gerard O'Connor was with him. And Seamus Harnedy sends this wrong side of the goalpost. 5th wide of the match for Cork.
Yeah, that's his 2nd wide. Just Cork a little bit sloppy on the last couple of balls, and Tip coming back into it.
Good puck out again. Straight to Alan Tynan. Killadang to Ross Gray. To the Killinane end. To a great score. That's Tipperary. Niall Quinn is with us here today.
And he's shouting for Tip.
Great Tipperary blood there as well.
His father, a great Tip player back in the 50s, Billy.
Runs on for Brian Hayes. Gets inside the first challenge. Past the 45. Heading towards the 20. Laying it off. Opportunity for Seamus Harnedy. This time he doesn't miss. Good score. 1 goal and 7 points he scored in 3 games.
Yeah, Brian Hayes, another relative newcomer to the Cork team. Very gangly and rangy. And I love the way both sets of forwards are looking up. They're trying to play the man in the better position and all the time. Harnedy was never going to do anything when he tapped that over after missing too early.
Barry Hogan again trying to find Mark Keogh. Referee spotted the infringements. Free for Cork.
Yeah, just a little trip there from Keogh, and Robert Downey picked it up very well. Good reactions there when the ball broke, and Mark Keogh got tangled up with him on the ground.
Declan Dalton between his own 45 and 65. This is going to drop in. Nobody can get a touch. Ball wide.
Yeah, he hit that one. He's normally, as I said earlier, those really long frees, line balls. He's fancied himself with all those. Anything outside Patrick Horgan's reach.
Barry Hogan, of course, was part of Liam Cahill's under-21 All-Ireland success in 2018, under-20 All-Ireland success in 2019. Robert Downey, past pupil of Christians. Traditionally a rugby school, but my word, they're doing great work in the hurling as well, playing very well in the Harty Cup over the last number of years. Good work. Michael Breen sending it down the middle. The Cork have it again, but there's nobody home. Patrick Horgan is up to go on his bike here. Good work by Craig Morgan. From Kilruan McDonough. Great club from North Tipperary. Good hats. Robert Downey. North side of Cork City. Gerard O'Connor. Laying it back. Pass was just a little bit too strong. Well picked up by Owen Downey. Diagonal ball could work out all right. It doesn't from a Cork perspective. Tipperary have the situation under control. Ronan Maher. Twice an All-Star. Back in 2016 and 19. Chimamani. Ball just bypassed him there. Jason Ford. Coming through the middle. Scoring his 5th point and his first from play.
Yeah, that's probably the first sloppy couple of minutes. We had a good few mistakes there in the last passage to play on both sides, and a few wayward deliveries, but at the end of it all, nice score from Jason Ford. Tip take the lead and just seem to come to grips a little bit with the Cork attack now in the last 5 minutes.
Collins goes long again. Not getting much change out of the Tipperary defence. Jake Morris. Over towards Mark Keogh. Has enough pace and it just didn't quite control it. Just accidentally hit it out over the sideline. Sideline ball for Cork.
Yeah, and Jake Morris was looking for the movement earlier. Mark Keogh kind of gone in behind his man. He should have been gone earlier into his position and he would have been picked out a lot easier. I said the heat taking its toll, just a little bit of a lull there in the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Mark Coleman. Great sideline ball. It's terribly gathered. The fielding has been very impressive in this opening half. Brian O'Mara from just down the road in Holy Cross, Ballycal, is a really fine centre-half back. Leapt up into the air here. 50-50 ball. Like any great centre-back, came down with the slither.
He did, and just the position he got in front of his man, which we always would coach with young lads out in front. Big man got up and caught it, and some line ball from Mark Coleman. He must have hit it 80 yards.
Gerard O'Connor going to take this free. He's just inside his own 65-metre line. Himself and Jason Ford shared the free-taking responsibilities during the Allianz Hurling League. He has the strength. He doesn't have the accuracy on this one. Ball is wide, 6th wide of the match. 3rd wide of the match, I should say, for Tipperary. Cork with the tuck out to Niall O'Leary. O'Leary, will it curl? I don't think so.
Just interesting looking at the rule is you have to be outside the 21. There was at least 6 players inside the 21 there, and Tipperary not happy on the sideline, saying you have to give us a chance.
Barry Hogan going for distance. Jake Morris on the turn. The Tipperary fans in the full house capacity crowd in Circle Stadium like it. That's a really good score.
Yeah, that's the score of the game so far. What a puck up by Barry Hogan, what a take by Morris. All 6 forwards from Tip have scored from play now, and just as impressive as the Cork forwards.
Good work by centre-half forward Shane Barrett, scooping it up for us Declan Dalton. Ball inside towards Ethan Toomey. Frontal collision and the two of them went down. Ronan Marr and Ethan Toomey. Straight collision. Liam Cahill will be concerned about his fullback. Pat Ryan will be worried about his midfielder, and there is concern about the collision.
Yeah, Ronan Marr definitely in bother there. Both of them are. There was a huge collision. It was a charge. Ronan Marr stood his ground, and Ethan Toomey went to go through him, and both of them took heavy knocks. Ethan Toomey sitting up, but Ronan Marr looks to be in considerable bother.
Ethan Toomey getting some medical attention there. The St. Finbarr's man from the south side of Cork City. Very unorthodox hurler, holds his hurley on the right, strikes off his left, and Tipperary going to introduce a substitute, and that looks like Paddy Cadell from J.K. Brackens down in Templemore that could be coming on. Cork also introducing a substitute, and
Luke Meade.
Luke Meade is coming on. This was the start of the match. Patrick Collins making a great save from Mark Keogh on the edge of the square to tap it into the back of the net. An amazing start to this Munster Hurling Championship match.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, Marty, beautiful ball over Noel McGrath to Conor Board that made it There'll be two temporary subs. Luke Mead will be in there for... You'd expect Ethan Toomey to be back out in the second half. Ronan Maher gone as well there for treatment.
Ronan Maher and Ethan Toomey both requiring medical attention and perhaps a stitch or two, but they're both thankfully well and trotting back into the dressing room as the free is dropping in. Patrick Collins never took his eye off it. Sends it down towards Luke Mead, just introduced for Ethan Toomey. Laying it off. Dara Fitzgibbon. 3 against 2 here. Tipperary almost losing it in the sunshine. Mark Keogh is available in front of us here. That's a good pass. Confronted momentarily by Sean O'Donoghue. Good work by Robert Downing. Seamus Harnedy on the Tipperary 65. Hits it well. Hits it over the bar. Second point of the match.
Yeah, great score by Seamus Harnedy there, but Mark Keogh will be very disappointed. He had the previous ball, poked it away. Noel McGrath was loose inside him. 1 point game.
Tipperary 112. Cork 14 points. Batted away by Niall O'Leary. Picked up by Jolton. Good work by Luke Mead. Patrick Horgan is available. Hoggy again. The Cork crowd love it. They've travelled in their thousands. He's a hero. North side, south side, all over the Rebel County.
Yeah, with a 1-2 from Harnedy. I always say to young lads, pass the ball around. It's the biggest game changer in the forward line because you can't mark. You don't know who to mark, who to pick up. And a beautiful 1-2 there with Harnedy and Horgan and all square.
6 times they've been level in this opening half. Luke Mead getting on a lot of ball. Back far is Sean O'Donoghue. Beautiful Inishcara. Shane Barrett. The support comes again from Dara Fitzgibbon. He's some hurler. Flicking it back, but he took too many steps. Just overcarried as I was praising him.
Yeah, look, it might be the third or fourth time. You know, he goes so quick, it's hard to count him, but he, you know, he definitely took 7 or 8 there. He got away with that. And cut back inside here then, and you know, I'm not so sure the second time, but the first time definitely.
Barry Hogan is very much a hero back in Killadangan in his club in the county final a couple of years ago when he took a very quick puck out, which resulted in Killadangan getting a late goal and winning the title for the first time in their history. Mark Coleman. Patrick Horgan. Flicking it on, but the Tipperary backs staying firm. The hook was coming in. Tim O'Mahony couldn't get there ahead of Noel McGrath. Lays it back. Paddy Cadell. Owen Downing is in there tussling. Picking up, however, Jason Ford. Back to Jake Morris. 2 Cork defenders chasing after him. Still Jake Morris. Now he's fouled by Niall O'Leary, who lunged in unnecessarily, I would suggest.
Yeah, it was great play by Morris, though. He showed great strength, great determination. You know, and Niall O'Leary's wanted to stick his cornerbacks out there, but he was in trouble. He was gone past him. There's going to be another yellow, I'd imagine. Did he get away with it?
Jake Morris is winning a lot of ball, Michael, isn't he? I mean, high or low, coming down this wing here in front of our commentary position, in front of the stand, he's doing well.
Yeah, he's a superb hurler. Like the last 2 years, 3 years, improved so much. He's so strong. He always had the skill in the class, but his work rate and everything has improved an awful lot.
Jason Ford sending this over the crossbar.
Hawkeye not happy.
Hawkeye not happy, I think.
Well, Hawkeye will intervene, no problem.
Patrick Collins is adamant, and we are going to Hawkeye for the first time in this match. There was immediately protest from the capacity crowd of 44,000. I think there was an overwhelming vote amongst the audience that this ball was wide. But let's see what Hawkeye says.
And we have to laugh at times. The tip lads go mad. Like, you have Hawkeye, you have to use it, lads. I'm sorry.
Will it be a thaw or a kneel?
Before Hawkeye, the umpires have been up their mind there. They must have got it in the ear. It's a wide ball, is it?
Neil.
We saw the crossing of the flags.
The umpires had already signalled the ball was cancelled, disallowed. Meanwhile, it is Shane Barrett cutting inside. Paddy Cadell chasing after him. Lovely hands and wrist by Alan Connolly, bearing down on goal. Connolly from Blackrock takes a shot. Oh, my words! What a goal! Now that's class. That's a spectacular goal on the run. Alan Connolly, take it out. Magnificent.
I said it about him earlier on. This is why he's such a game changer. He heads for the goals every time. That is unbelievable at this level of hurling. He took it on. There was nothing else in his head. And it just shows you that ball over the bar down the other end. He could have gone in. Tip could have gone in a point down. They're 3 down now.
And right now, listen to the crowd in Semple Stadium. Sold out completely since Wednesday. 44,000 approximately. Standing here beneath us to their feet as they applaud the hurlers of Tipperary and Cork. We have a thriller in Semple, and thankfully we've at least 35 minutes plus to go. Half time here in Tipperary. Tipperary 1 goal in 12. Cork 1 goal in 15. Analysis with Joanne right after the break.
Another one of these crackers in Munster. In this must-win encounter at the first half, we had a goal at the very, very start. And then another at the very, very end. And what a rasp it was from Alan Connolly as well. And that is why the Rebels are in front by 3 points. So it's Tipperary 112 to Cork's 115. And there you can see even enough on the possession. Cork with slightly more, 55% to 45%. And if you look for scores from play, 13 from 16 from Cork and 10 from 13 from Tipperary as well. So lots of the scores coming from play in that one. But let's get straight into the action because it was 19 seconds on the clock and up popped Mark Keogh to find the back of the net. A man you both tipped beforehand to perform. Yeah,
look, it was the perfect start for Tipperary. We said about getting out of the blocks quick. Owen Connolly won the throw in. You can see the ball here. Dara Stakelum does well, flicks it out, and look, I mean, we talked about this division that this guy has. Look at like Noel McGrath. How often have we seen this guy just totally unselfish, think team always, just gives an beautifully weighted pass into Conor Bowe. Conor Bowe came bursting forward. Patrick Collins saved. I think Patrick Collins a bit, I think he could have maybe controlled it a little bit better, but as soon as he spilled it out, no better man than Mark Keogh to flick it into the back of the net. And it was really the perfect start for Tipperary and got him out of the blocks and quietened the large crowd that's here from Cork. But not for long.
Not for long, no. Cork very much so. They kept on responding really, really well. But it was only that Alan Connolly at the goal that just seemed to come from or Alan Connolly goal at the death that just seemed to come from nowhere. Yeah, exactly. And in first instance, it was great work again by Shane Barrett. He's running across the line really, really well at centre forward and playing unbelievable the role of the number 11 for Cork in the last 2 games and especially today. But takes on, and Connolly makes this kind of loop and run around from his full forward, takes on the lads as he always does, and an unbelievable finish in fairness to him. Like normally you'd say he'd hit it low or whatever going in there, but he just stuck it in under the crossbar. No stopping that. The goalie couldn't do anything about it. But
from a defensive point of view, though, Joe, I mean, like, you know, he passed 3 Tip players. Like, I mean, I think when Tip look back at that, they'll be a bit disappointed. I mean, no one really laid it loving him. You know what I mean? And he got in there. He needed to be met with a strong body contact there, I felt, because as soon as he turned in and came onto his side, there was always going to be a goal. So, you know, from that point of view, it wasn't wonderful defending.
Well, you're exactly, but you're probably like a little bit on edge, wondering if I take down a lad here. Am I running the risk of maybe a black card or penalty or whatever? Because we've seen that in the last couple of weeks where a guy running in and goals takes him down and you're down a man for a while. Like.
Speaking of that very point, because we have seen quite a few of these black card penalties coming in and hurling, and just a reminder, it's not just the denial of a goal scoring opportunity, it's only certain fouls that count in this, which brings us to an early moment for Tipperary where could they have had a penalty and a black card given to Sean O'Donoghue?
Well, I'm not so sure about the penalty. I think it was outside, but definitely I think the black card could have been,
Well, in hurling it has to be both. It can't just be one.
Oh, well, oh, yeah, sorry, even though he's outside. Yeah, exactly. But I think, you watch it here, Mark. I mean, he's going goalwards. There's no one between him and the goals. And Shawnee Donoghue gets caught up in him. And I think by the letter of the law, that is a black card and a penalty.
Well, it has to be either a pull down, a trip, or careless, or use of the hurley in a careless manner. Interestingly, in football it says deliberate trip. Doesn't have the word deliberate in the hurling rules.
Yeah, I can see where it's kind of 50-50, and obviously the referee doesn't have the replay or anything like that, but he did trip him going through. He was about to go for goal, so is that denying a goal scoring opportunity? Probably is, but it's not as blatant, let's say. I don't think he meant to trip him. It was kind of a tanglement. It's 50-50, but technically it probably is a black card and a penalty.
Are you impressed with what Tip have offered up this afternoon so far?
Yeah, they've done very well. I mean, Tip have definitely up front. I mean, they look dangerous. I think Jake Morris is really flowing out there on that pitch today. Mark Keogh looks dangerous on the ball. Garrod O'Connor has got some great scores. All the Tip forwards have scored. So they'll be happy from that aspect of their game. But, we're watching it here in terms of what's happening this end of the field. Like, Cork look to be just on speed. Like, when they get on that ball and they're coming at pace. When Darragh Fitzgibbon, Seamus Harnedy, Shane Barrett, centre forward, is really, really impressive. And that is the concern, is that the pace that Cork have, the Tipperary defence are having a job dealing with it. So they'll have to limit their time in the ball, because when they're on the ball and they're coming at us, Tip are in real trouble.
It has been absolutely action-packed so far, and we expect plenty more on the way.
Sunway Holidays, one of Ireland's leading holiday specialists, want to give you the chance to jet off to sunny Portugal, taking in an escorted tour of Lisbon. Once there, you will stay 3 nights in a 4-star hotel located in the seaside resort of Estoril. And with its picturesque beaches, quaint streets and vibrant atmosphere, there's plenty to see and do. Check it out on sunway.ie. And so you can sample the local cuisine and explore Portugal, there's €1,000 spending money too. For your chance to win, answer this question. Which of these is the current manager of the Tipperary senior hurling team? Is it Liam Cahill or Henry Shefflin? To enter, call the number on screen or text the word GAME followed by your answer and name to 57117. Calls from the Air network will cost €2.03. Calls from other networks may cost more. You must be over 18 to enter. Lines will close at midday on Monday, 20th of May. Full details are on rte.ie/competitions, where the lucky winner will also be revealed.
After the penultimate weekend of the URC before the playoffs, you can tune into Against the Head from 8 o'clock tomorrow. Irish Guineas weekend starts on Saturday at 1:45 and then on Sunday from 1:40, both on RT1. And Leinster's Date with Destiny, that Champions Cup final against Toulouse, is live on RT2 and the Player from 2 o'clock on Saturday. Here we are in Thurles waiting for Cork and Tip to retake the field. Remember, it's Cork who are on top. Puckouts in that opening half, a big source of scores for both sides.
Yeah, it's been really impressive. I think 1-7 for Cork and 9 points for Tipperary, but just Barry Hogan down in front of us here, he's been really impressive for us, picking out guys, because there's loads of space. It's interesting, both sets of forwards are kind of bunching in tight together, and then they're breaking, or else they're going really long down the middle and then they're getting on the breaks. But Barry is picking off a few guys there in pockets of little space, and he's not afraid to. 1 or 2 got turned over, and that'll happen. But he's still backing himself to go and pick out guys the whole time.
We found it a largely enjoyable first half, but at one stage you said this is practically a non-contact sport the way they're playing. Well,
you see, in fairness, there's such pace in both teams and they've got such good movement. It's very hard to track, and especially when you have 2 goalies that are really good at flashing out that ball. I mean, it's a dream for a half forward for Seamus Harnedy to be running out uncontested and the ball hitting grass before he gets it. And there's a lot of that going on, and I think that type of open game suits Cork better. you know, suits their style of play. And I just think that Tip nearly have to try and squeeze them a little bit in this second half, because Shane Barrett, Alan Connolly, Seamus Harnedy, you know, Brian Hayes, I think their forward line are very, very effective. So, you know, it's a big second half for Tip. It's a big 10 minutes now for Tip, because I think with the Cork crowd that's here, if Tip don't get a hold of this in the next 5-10 minutes, and if the Cork were to push it out to 6 or 7, that would spell trouble for Liam Cahill's men. So it's a big 10 minutes. You know, I mean, but at the end of the day, both teams, their championship existence depends on the next 35 minutes. So we can expect a bit of fireworks, I think, in the second half.
I would imagine so. Liam mentioned Shane Barrett there as well, and you touched on him in the build-up to some of the action we saw a little bit earlier. Would you expand a bit on what you're talking about, the role that he's playing and his movement?
He's just picking up little pockets of space, because he's holding his centre-forward position, but he's moving left and right, because Dalton and Harnedy are going back the field, kind of helping out their half-back line. So when you have those guys going back the field, you'll get a pocket of space left and right of you, and you're the out ball then. So Barrett is, like, he has legs, but he's seeing that pocket of space, and Cork are popping balls, only 20-30 yard balls down into the space, and he's taking them on. You saw it there for the goal just before half-time. Perfect example. Goalie got it out to the wing, Barrett got it, took on his man, and he's really good at that. In fairness to him, he's stepping up now into that leading role there.
What do Tip have to do to stop that, because that's having such an influence on the game?
Well, I think that's it. I think, you know, they have to really try and shut it down at source, because when Cork get the ball up front, like, they're so good, they'll flash it up to the retention zone, so they'll get it in between those 65s, and then there's such movement up front, they're able to flash it in. So I think they've got to get a big presence in there, like Alan Tynan, Owen Connolly, Jason Ford. They've got to get more involved in that middle third, because if Cork are allowed to pick you off from outside, they will hurt you and they'll penetrate.
Well, speaking of Jason Ford, he was one of the players, along with, say, Jake Morris, you mentioned earlier, people thought we should have seen more of up until this point. Have they performed in that opening half and kind of answered questions? In
fairness, like, until that last goal, obviously, it was a draw game. And I think they would have been happy enough going in at half-time in a draw game. So there has been flashes, but physically still, I don't think Tip are imposing themselves physically on Cork yet. And that's going back to Liam's point, that it was kind of, you're kind of playing away and everybody's getting score for score or whatever it is, and there's loads of space. If Tip pull it back a small bit into their defence and around their half-forward line or their half-back line, I think it'll suit them a lot better. And maybe that you might only play one up top, you might play two up top, but I think it'll suit Tip if they pull back the field a little bit more and close down the space for the likes of Fitzgibbon and Barrett and these guys running through.
There's the noise. Just a reminder, it's Cork who are the away team in Thurles this afternoon. You wouldn't know by looking throughout the stands. They are the team on top, but only by 3 points. Let's go back now to Michael and Marty.
Thank you very much, Joanne. Just a change there on the Tipperary team. It looks like Conor Stacklum is starting the second half instead of midfielder Owen Connolly. Conor Stacklum, you may recall, scored a decisive goal to beat Cork in the under-20 All-Ireland final back in 2018. So the Cork and Tipperary lads, they know each other quite well from college and UCC as well. There's former Cork manager Kieran Kingston. His son Shane is, of course, part of the panel. They had a huge impact last Saturday night against Limerick, and away we go. 3 points between the teams, level 8 times in the first half. And just remember that Tipperary last championship victory over Cork was 4 years ago. And Cork haven't beaten Tipperary in Thurles in 8 years ago. What will it be in about 40 minutes or so? Patrick Collins sending it out towards Tim O'Mahony. Luke Meade laying it off and going long up towards the goal scorer. What a goal that was, just in the stroke of half-time. Huge psychological boost to get a goal as you're heading down into the tunnel, into the dressing room.
Yeah, as the lads were saying, a draw at half-time, probably everyone would be happy enough, particularly Tip. But Alan Connolly doesn't think like that. Luke Meade out there, he did very, very well in the few minutes that he was on before half-time. He'll love a game like this. He's great pace as well. See Mikey Breen at full back, Ronan O'Mara centre back, Brian O'Mara out in the wing. So Tip looking for a bit more pace in the full back line with Mikey Breen in there.
Ronan O'Mara is back on for Tipperary at full back as this ball drops in. Knocks down towards Brian O'Mara. Conor Bowe going long. It's a good ball up towards Mark Keogh. Little layoff, and that is flying between the post and over the bar. Good score once again Jake Morris scored twice in the first half. He continues on his performance in the second.
Yeah, the distribution though again from Conor Bowe, really impressive in the first half. That's a 78-yard pass into space. Keogh just pointed, he picked them out. Morris did the rest.
Straight down the middle from Patrick Collins. Did well to lay it off. Shane Barrett to Mark Coleman, the two Blarney boys. But Tipperary win the possession back. Floating it in. It's 1 against 1. Brilliantly gathered. Mark Keogh. Cork come away with it. Might have been a little bit of holding there, but got away with it. Luke Meade getting on a lot of balls since being introduced. Here comes Brian Hayes, bearing down on goal. Uses the short grip so he can't be hooked. That's a good score. Scored a point against Waterford, 2 against Limerick, 1 against Tipperary. The Bars man is playing well.
Yeah, and I think that's all 12 forwards who started have scored from play now. Tip and feel a bit aggrieved. A good touchdown by Keogh. I don't think he was fouled, but great vision by... Here we go.
Opportunity almost coming Tipperary's way. Luke Meade again making himself available. The diagonal ball stretching Tipperary as wide as possible. Well gathered by Brian Hayes, and away he goes, heading towards the D. Lays it off towards Harnedy, his outside man. Harnedy giving it back again to Brian Hayes, capable of scoring from there. Hits it sweetly between the goalposts, and that's his second point.
Yeah, he could have tapped it over the first time himself. Thought it might be goal line. Wasn't his best hand pass into Harnedy, but in fairness again, Seamus Harnedy looked up, simple pass back outside. And you know, you mentioned Luke Meade in the build-up. He has made a big difference in the few minutes. He's linking up and moving the ball very quickly. And you know, Cork just stretching a little bit here now, and Tip will need to score 2 to respond.
Just medical requirements just for Cathal Barrett. Corner back on the 2016 All-Ireland winning side, of course twice an All-Star as well. Young Hurler of the Year 10 years ago. 33 years of age in July. Still an integral part of this Tipperary side. Picked up by Mark Keogh. Needs a bit of support. Dara Stakelum is available. That's a really good score by the Thurles Sarsfields man. His clubhouse is next door to us here in Semple Stadium. Very good score.
Yeah, he knows the place well, and you'd want to take that one on. Beautiful score. Himself and Keogh working well there together.
Mark Coleman. Noel McGrath. A little flick up, didn't quite come off. Luke Meade again working hard. Ronan Marr. Aiming for Mark Keogh. Cork attacking the ball. Just flicking it forward. Good defending. Seamus Harnedy. Shane Barrett has gone inside. Harnedy takes on the challenge, but it's just miscued. Ball is wide. 8th wide of the match for Cork.
Yeah, that's 2 one-on-ones Mark Keogh had inside. Ronan Marr went long with both of them. He may get one yet. Turnover.
Seamus Harnedy needs a hurley, but meanwhile Alan Connolly has one. Bearing down, he's going for a second goal. Brilliant. The Blackrock star is on fire. Incredible. Goal in the stroke of half-time. He gets his second goal with just 5 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, but that was a simple tap in for him, but it was the turnover. His work rate, his power, his strength, everything coming into play, and he'd only one thing in his mind, and bounced it off the ground, gave Barry Hogan no chance. Cathal Barrett, I'd say, in a bit of bother in there.
Long puck out from Barry Hogan. It's a real challenge and a test of character now for Tipperary. And the effort by Dara Stakelum dribbles out over the end line and wide. It's an impressive scoreline from a Cork point of view now. 217 to 114. 2-goal advantage.
Yeah, they say goals in matches, but Alan Connolly has that maybe bit of spark, X factor that Cork had been missing for the last few years. That ruthlessness to head for the goals every time he gets a chance. Cathal Barrett's gone off there now. Brian O'Mara gone back in corner back, and Dan McCormick in the half back line.
Dan McCormick, as you said to Michael coming on, and Cathal Barrett has played his part in this Munster Championship match. His Tipperary group for Liam Cow.
Yeah, it just shows he was down injured, got treatment, and then the puck to short went and got turned over. Maybe, you know, wasn't the best move by Barry Hogan in that instance.
Darragh Fitzgibbon inside the Tipperary 45. It's tailing left and right.
Yeah, big 5 minutes now for Tip. They need leaders, they need a couple of scores, they need players to stand up and be counted, or else this could go away from them very quickly.
Darragh Fitzgibbon getting the hurley in. Robert Downey. Luke Meade. Dalton. He could see it coming. The train was heading in his direction. Hefty shoulder, fair shoulder.
Fair shoulder, yeah, but you know, Cork should have moved that. I mentioned Luke Meade's link play. That ball should have been gone. But the trouble they're causing inside, just get it in fast, into space. They're moving inside. No need for that extra pass.
John McGrath is warming up along the sideline. Meanwhile, Tipperary have a sideline cut sent in by Ronan Maher. Kicking it forward was Seamus Harnedy. Tipperary find themselves under severe pressure. Referee has blown a whistle, feeling that Ronan Maher was fouled in a similar incident as we had in the first half.
Yeah, great pick up by Maher. He's trying to drive on the crowd. He's trying, you know, he is all heart, as we know. One of Tip's great players over the years. Here's John McGrath in now as well.
So John McGrath made his debut against Cork back in 2016. Younger brother, of course, of Noel. Lockmore, Castleiney. Player that's going off is Jason Ford. Ronan Maher taking the fray. Dropping it in, dropping it. Oh, that's a great strike of a slither. Scored a point against Waterford as well, but that's his first here in Semple Stadium.
Yeah, brought forward for dissent as well, just shows you. The ref won't change his mind. Great strike.
Patrick Collins has his 3 full back line available, but he goes long, aiming for Seamus Harnedy. Alan Tyne twisting and turning. Gerard O'Connor. Nice ball. Cork backs should be there. Here comes John McGrath. Great work by Niall O'Leary. Cork fans love the stick work of their defender. From Castle Lyons, Brian Hayes. Equally, big man at the edge of the square, flicking it across. And that wasn't very far away. It looked like his track to goal was stopped, but he still got the shot in.
Yeah, lovely bit of skill here. He went to flick a good hook by Brian O'Meara, but look at the instinct of him to go again. But here's Shane Kingston now. We know what he can do, the pace he has. Declan Dalton has been replaced, and the Tipperary defender who's seen Shane Kingston coming would be one of your worst nightmares, because this guy has serious pace.
Shane Kingston from Douglas is on as Cork rearrange their attack just slightly. Nice ball inside, but it's easily gathered. Cork coming to terms with the Tipperary attackers now. Alan Tynan continues to work hard in the middle of the field. Ronan Maher has to chase after this, survive 2 physical exchanges, then flick it forward up towards Mark Keogh. Got the goal after 17 seconds. And this match started at 4 o'clock. Nice turn. Good score. The heart to Tipperary. Unquenchable. Unbroken. Conor Bowe. First point of the match for him.
Yeah, great response by Tip. I talked about leaders. Ronan Maher stood up the last few plays. Mark Keogh, Conor Bowe, they're coming on the overlap. Mark Keogh, in fairness, picked them out. Thought there might have been a half a goal chance on, but Bowe took the point.
4 points between the teams. Patrick Collins goes long again. Puck out strategy by both Tipperary and Cork, working for both of their teams. Giving it back. Here's Shane Kingston. Nobody coming down the far over wing. Luke Meade has to give the hand pass. Gets the return. Lovely play. Connolly is going for a hat trick. Oh my word! Fantastic! into the back of the Tipperary net that Barry Hogan hardly saw. Alan Connolly is on fire in Semple Stadium. Look at this. Brilliant.
But Marty, there was so much to that. There was a 1-2 there with Luke Meade. There was an exchange between Kingston and Meade. That's an unbelievable goal. That's Cork when they're on full flow now. This team are a joy to watch.
And here he goes again. Connolly trying to flick it forward. Craig Morgan is there. Lays it off gently for his Conor Bowe, who'll give it plenty of oxygen, plenty of air. Opportunity coming for Tipperary. Tim O'Mahony wasn't coming on the late bus, but he got there enough to distract the Tipperary forward. Luke Meade. Cork using the hand pass to great effect. Back for is Niall O'Leary, giving it air. Ronan Maher. Gearóid O'Connor. Great work. When you don't have the ball, that's when your work rate really has to improve, and certainly Shane Barrow was trying and playing his heart out. Tipperary did, however, win the possession back, and that ball is gone. In fact, he's going for a Hawkeye for the second time in this Munster Championship clash. Just when Tipperary were getting a little bit close.
Yeah, but
yeah. God, I can't get over Alan Connolly. What a hat trick.
But the build up to it, you know, I suppose the cheek, the audacity, Luke Meade, little jing, Shane Kingston involved, little flick, the 1-2 between Meade and Connolly, you know, just class stuff, close contact, brilliant skill, and then the rocket of a shot at the end of it all. And you know, I think Tip will be glad a little breather here now. They'll be hoping that one's gone over. They're hanging in there.
Patrick Bonner Maher now has been introduced as we wait for a Hawkeye to make a decision. We're getting the result now. A Paul or a Neil, which is it? Looks like it's a Neil. Ball is wide. Cork unequivocally have found their mojo in this Munster Championship. Here comes Patrick Horgan. They love their hurling on the banks of the River Lee, and they're proving it here. Hard to believe that this is the same Cork team that lost their opening 2 rounds. They really have found their rhythm.
I think it took them a while to get their best 15 on the field.
Here comes Luke Meade again, who's obviously out to impress Pat Ryan, and he's impressing us with his work rate. Dara Fitzgibbon, Seamus Harnedy turning into the challenge, looking for a little bit of support. Cork understanding is very impressive. Cork's shooting for points is very impressive. Robert Downey from Glen Rovers getting his first point.
Yeah, huge man. Their teamwork, Marty, is what's impressing me the most. You know, the individual piece is gone. There was a bit of that in Cork over the last few years. They're looking for the man in the best position all the time. Just interesting. I don't think there has been a scoreable free in the second half yet. There hasn't been a foul. I think the heat, the speed of the hurling, lads haven't. They can't get close enough to anybody to foul them. And some of the Cork tackling has been really crisp. Both cornerbacks attacking the ball all the time. Yeah, Ronan Maher scored a long one. That was the only one.
Tipperary have the possession here now. Noel McGrath to Gearóid O'Connor. Luke Meade putting in the challenge. Dropping ball. Patrick Collins happy to bat it away. He's out to gather it, but he's lost the possession here. His fullback, Owen Downey, has come to his rescue. Collins is still available if he needed it. Downey, I think, did the right thing. Get rid of it. Well gathered by Conor Bowe. Sending it back and sending it right and wide.
You know, from the Cork crowd, it's hard to look behind that goal. There's not a Tipperary jersey to be seen, and telling us before the umpires.
Cork introduced a substitute. This is Ger Mellerick from the Father O'Neill's club that's coming on. As Cork make changes, a rapturous round of applause for the Cork captain, Sean O'Donoghue.
And that's tactical. That's not because of the way he's playing. Back to our yellow card again, Marty, that you mentioned earlier on, the same thing. You have to think of these things on the sideline.
Long puck out again from Patrick Collins. Patrick Horgan to Seamus Harnedy. Oh, magic! The pass from Hoggy to Harnedy. You can hardly see it in the blink of an eye. Just watch this. Layoff. Have a shot over the bar. Beautiful.
That's what they're doing all day. So just here and there that it might be a HIA for Sean O'Donoghue, but I don't expect we'll see him again, not if they're going to win, if they're winning like this.
Cork are on a roll. They're steamrolling through Tipperary. Great work by Niall O'Leary. He can't be stopped, can he? The referee has blown his whistle for the free, for the foul that was done earlier. There was no advantage developing.
Yeah, when you were talking about the first two games, Niall O'Leary wasn't playing in the first game. I saw him during the league. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I saw the team for the first round of the championship against Waterford. No Niall O'Leary. That's one player I couldn't believe. They made 6 changes then after the first day, which seemed like it was a bit of a, you know, was a bit of panic. And all of a sudden, it has come together into the team we're looking at out there today. So really, really impressive, particularly from midfield up.
Patrick Horgan taking the free and raising the white flag for the 7th time. Huge support for Pat Ryan and what he's been doing all through the underage ranks, but certainly even when the criticism was coming after the first 2 defeats, the players really, I know, really stood beside him and said we can get our act together, and they certainly have.
Yeah, I'll come back to that one, Marty. We'll let this develop.
Tipperary. Oh, lovely. Good work by Alan Tynan. They're trying to create a goal opportunity here. Trying to take the shot in. Good work by Mark Coleman. The 11th commandment, thou shalt not pass, says the Blarney man.
Yeah, no, the defender from Cork in the second half has been brilliant. This is about the 3rd time we've seen that. Just held them up. No problem there. John McGrath just not happy, but I don't think there was a foul.
Cork have scored 2 goals and 6 points in this second half. Tipperary have responded with 4 points. That statistic alone is pretty awesome. It tells its own story, doesn't it, Michael?
It does, and I think that should have been a Cork ball, but anyway, it's going to tip. I mentioned about Pat Ryan, but he was very unlucky last year. Like, you look at the results, they're only beaten the Drew, were beaten a point, beaten a couple of points. They could have been really in the mix last year, and you know, there's nobody going to be looking forward to playing against them in the rest of the championship.
It's part of the Cork team that won in All-Ireland back in 1999. Highly respected. Here comes Shane Kingston. He's letting it fly. Listen to the reaction. Cork are now giving an extraordinary performance in the Munster Championship. 322 for Cork, 116 Tipperary. Cork dominating. Tipperary being torn apart right now. And once again, it's a wonderful, wonderful point by Shane Kingston.
Yeah, I mentioned him, Marty, when he was coming on. You know, he was in an awful position for a few years with his dad being over the team. It can't be easy, and he was on and off. He always had the ability, and Cork have just decided now to use him for the last 20-25. And you know, he was key the last day to their win against Limerick, and he's turning it on here. This is for 3 in a row.
Jeremy Mallory, they have it to Shane Kingston. Ever a ham, ever a dough, ever a 3. 3 in a row, Shane Kingston. Could have Millimorgans. That'll be the words of his manager, Pat Ryan, no doubt. Very impressive. Tipperary introduce Sean Hayes from Killadangan. But the game has turned around completely. Gearóid O'Connor is the player that's making way. And there's still 15 minutes to go here.
And Cork still look hungry.
Batted away. The flicks, the hand pass, it's wonderful to watch. But not if you're from Tipperary right now. The Premier County facing a massive challenge. Just as the pass was coming, Luke Meade intercepts. Seamus Harnedy trying to get it back for us, Patrick Horgan. Good work on this occasion by Tipperary as they go forward, but Cork backs have come to grips with the challenge being provided. The pass, however, goes astray. Noel McGrath heard the call from Jake Morris. Jake Morris' body language says it all. For once, he didn't connect properly. Ball is wide. 9th wide of the match for the home side.
Yeah, I think Old Downey made to pick the ball off the ground there the way out, but missed by the ref, and bad wide there by Jake.
He's going for point number 4.
Yeah.
Incredible. Ivan O'Cahir. Incredible. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. Shane Kingston. Brilliant.
He's had some impact, the 4 points. He also had a very important part in the goal, and fantastic. Here's Sean Hayes now into space.
Tipperary have acres of Semple Stadium in front of them, and they create something great. Stop by Mark Coleman. Tipperary don't give up. There's a trip. There's a free in for Tipperary. Great work by Sean Hayes.
Yeah, he could have tapped it over. I suppose in fairness to him, he was trying to work a goal chance. He could have tapped it over earlier. Great interception by Mark Coleman. Cork don't look like they're in the mood for pulling up here.
Certainly aren't, Mike. Tipperary haven't scored since the 45th minute. They've rectified that now after, what, 13, almost another 14 minutes. John McGrath getting his first point. Well, there's Dad. There's Kieran Kingston. Well pleased with the son today.
You wouldn't blame him. He suffered enough abuse, I'd say, in Cork over the years, picking him and playing him and dropping him. But he's a fantastic young hurler, and
doing well since being introduced. It comes for his centre half back, Robert Downey. Hard-working Brian O'Mara battling with Brian Hayes. 2 Brians.
You consider Kieran Joyce is not playing today. With the 2 Downeys down the middle, he's not going to get back in there too easy. If we don't know how the championship is going to work out yet.
Several permutations. There's still one final round to go, of course, in this Munster Championship. And Tipperary go in pursuit of scores from long range, but you just feel the energy is draining out of Tipperary, having been hit by 3 goals by full forward Alan Connolly. Cork introduced Conor Lahan from Middleton. And listen to the rapturous applause for Seamus Harnedy, and indeed for Conor Lahan. Cork have produced some wonderful stars like Donald Lenihan and Sonia Sullivan and Roy Keane and Rob Heffernan, but there is something about the love affair Cork people have with hurling. And they're
sure
proving it here.
And here's Conor Lahan, another speed merchant coming on. Starts up straight over the bar.
Impact, Shane Kingston. Impact, Conor Lahan.
Yeah, and Seamus Harnedy gone. I just was going to say that, like, what a servant he's been to Cork hurling through good and bad times, and the competition for places now is unreal, and that's what you need if you're going to make a charge in the championship.
Robert Downey's intended pass goes astray. Conor Bowe. Well anticipated by Shane Barrett. Trouble with a capital T coming to Tipperary. Hands over towards Patrick Horgan! 1-11 against Limerick. 1-7 against Tipperary. 2-10 against Clare. 7 points against Waterford. That is Patrick Horgan. That is a real legend of the game of hurling.
And this is a serious display of forward play. Unselfish again. Shane Barrett down the middle, late in the game, could have gone for himself. No, the man in the better position. I'm saying this at the start of the game. That wasn't always Cork. This is this Cork team now in the last 2 weeks. It's taken a little while to come together with Pat Ryan, but they are absolutely flying now.
And they have the sliotar once more. Trying to come out. Just a little touch of the hurling. Gets it over for as Niall O'Leary. Ball is being put in front of Brian Hayes and Patrick Horgan. Brian Hayes flicking it into the centre. On his shoulder is Shane Barrett. Back again. Here's Kingston again. He lets fly. He can do no wrong. Yes, he can. Is he? Well, the umpire's not too sure. The referee had blown his whistle. We didn't hear it with the capacity crowd here. And he's going to have a word with Conor Bowe and a yellow card for the left half back. Cork going to introduce another substitute.
Jack O'Connor gone in there, Marty, and the pace again. Like Conor Lehane, Jack O'Connor and Shane Kingston, 3 absolutely phenomenal athletes been introduced. A hot day like today, there's still 10 minutes plus to go. There was a chop down there, late tackle, as Kingston got the shot away from Conor Bowe, and free.
Free for Shane Kingston, it looks like. No, sorry, Patrick Horgan is going to take it.
Kingston fouled, yeah.
Yeah, Kingston fouled. So Patrick Horgan on 1-7. Hits this between the posts and over the bar.
What a score, like 4:27, some shooting.
They might be conceding a little bit, but my God, they're scoring.
Yeah, they're not conceding as much today, though. They're more aggressive at the back, particularly in the second half. Great catch by Bonner.
Patrick Bonner-Marr. Referee blows his whistle dead straight in front of the post. A free for Tipperary, and they need everything that's going right now.
Yeah, and you're talking like they scored 324, wasn't it, against Clare? Clare got 326. They scored 328 last week. Limerick got 326. You know, huge, but that suits them. It suits them in a shootout, in a high-scoring game with the ball flying, and that's the way they're playing.
John McGrath puts that over the bar. Cork 4:27, Tipperary 1:18. Conor Lehane just took his eye off it, seemed to push the Tipperary defender. That's going to be a free for Tipperary just inside their own 45-metre line.
I have to say the referee has been very good today, Marty. He hasn't been a factor in any facet of the game.
And likewise, Sean Stack did a good job in the Cork Limerick game, and Páirc Uí Chaoimh and Thomas Walsh is doing it here. That's as it stands now. Limerick on 4 points as we concentrate on the game here. Here come Tipperary. Michael Breen going forward. Need to create goal-scoring opportunities. Need to take a shot. Stopped by Patrick Collins, but the referee has blown his whistle and given a free to Tipperary just on the edge of the D.
Substitution of the Cork team, number 19, Tommy O'Connell, replacing number 9, Darren Fitzgibbon.
Tommy O'Connell from Middleton is coming on. Had a great league, I have to say, in the middle of the field. He's a great worker. And the player that's going off is Darren Fitzgibbon, who scored 3 points today, 5 against Limerick, and is a man that is really dominating in the middle of the park for his county at the moment.
John McGrath popped it over,
yeah. Third point of the match. Long ball. Up towards the Cork attack, and it runs on. Opportunity for Brian Hayes. Patrick Horgan. 2 goals and 8 points. It's goals for Cork. But the referee has blown his whistle. I think it's going to be a square ball. Patrick Horgan.
It was a lovely flick across.
It was.
He wasn't in the square. He came in from outside it. No, it wasn't given, but it was, to me, it wasn't a square ball. He'd be too skillful to go into the square.
4:27 to 1:19. Should have brought the pocket calculator, I think, with me at this stage. As Cork dominating in every line. Niall O'Leary to Shane Kingston. Stepping by the challenge. Too many steps. Going to be free for Tipperary, and they're on half of the field between the 45 and 65. Pat Ryan emptying the bench. There's going to be another substitution in just a moment as this ball is dropping in. Nobody can touch it. Ball is wide. Looks like Sean Toomey from Courcey Rovers is going to be on now. Another one of the Cork under-20 team that won the All-Ireland back 4 years ago. Saw him as well in the league. Very impressive, I have to say. And off goes Alan Connolly with 3 goals and a point.
Yeah, he's getting a standing ovation here in the stand as he comes off. Interestingly, Patrick Horgan left on for the full game. I think that's just sending out a message He's our leader, and we're leaving him on there.
Here comes Conor Lahan with a shot that is just tailing to the left and wide. I know I mentioned it earlier, Michael, but Alan Connolly's two uncles, Tom and Jim Cashman, they were brilliant hurlers as well.
Unbelievable hurlers and leaders as well, and you can see the same thing in him. Fearless, brilliant stick men, and neither of them were full forwards or corner forwards, great centre-back midfield players.
Just unable to control it with Sean Toomey. So the puck out going to be taken. 3 minutes to go. Tipperary will be relieved at this stage to hear that full-time whistle. Alan Tynan in the centre, going for a score from out the field, and that is dropping harmlessly wide. 12th wide of the match for Tipperary. For Liam Cahill and his management team, it's gone wrong this afternoon. Michael Bevins there beside him. They still have to face Clare, but that scoreline is really intimidating.
Yeah, and how do you get up for that? You know, they'll be out of the championship after this, and they have to go down. They have to go and play Clare, who will need the win. It's just, look, Tip are going to have to have a good look at themselves. They're going to have to rebuild and come back again.
Well, Luke Meade has really impressed me this afternoon. He's given it everything. The man has found his form from Newcestown in West Cork. In fact, I remember winning a Fitzgibbon Cup with Mary I, with Ronan Maher, the Tipperary full-back.
And all the subs, Marty, like Luke Meade, Jeremy Elric, they're coming out with that one. We talked about Kingston Lahan already. It's just unbelievable.
Luke Meade again, aiming for Patrick Horgan. Ronan Maher in the centre, looking around at options. There were very few. Noel McGrath floating it in and floating that over the bar for his second point of the game. And who made his championship debut against Cork way back in 2009, and still part of the Tipperary squad and team.
Battled away a couple of wides there in the second half, but he's been on the ball a lot and certainly has been one of the Tip's better performers.
Well, there might have been pressure, Michael Didon, on Cork after that performance against Limerick. Could they do it again? But my word, they really have answered, haven't they?
They have, and you know, it's a credit to their management, to their S&C team, or their backroom team. They obviously kept them very, very fresh, and you know, brilliant second half display. First half was obviously very, very close, but the second half just came out and hit the ground. We said it at half time here chatting that, you know, if they got a run, they could be very, very dangerous. But like the subs they've used and the starting 15, there was no one taken off today because they were playing badly. They were just taken off because they were bringing on lads to finish off Tipperary.
Oh, great catch. Brilliant. Once again, Tommy O'Connell plays centre back out midfield. The centre back actually in the Middleton team that won the county a couple of years ago. And it's just shooting practice for Cork at this stage from all angles. Just look at this. Tommy O'Connell.
Yeah, Tommy O'Connell was probably one of their players of the league, Marty, you know, and he started in the championship as well against Waterford that day. So, look at Patrick Horgan chasing back at this stage of the game, at this stage of his career. That just shows you what Cork are about today.
Jack O'Connor just losing the possession there. John McGrath looking around, but not connecting properly. When the day goes wrong, the day goes wrong from a Tipperary perspective. Huge disappointment for Liam Cahill and his team. In contrast, Cork have just been magnificent. Patrick Horgan got a little touch. Conor Lahan has to slip it. Gives it back. Tommy O'Connell. Aiming over towards Sean Toomey. Craig Morgan trying to prevent him heading towards goals. Good work by the number 4. Jersey clearly pulled. He was fouled. That's a free for Tipperary. 3 minutes of injury time. We're on the 71st minute right now. It's been an awesome performance by Cork. Long ball again. A diagonal ball, and Tipperary just trying to keep the possession. Patrick Bonner-Maher getting it in. An opportunity for a score, but again, Tipperary. The buzz has gone out of this Tipperary team. 14 wides they've shot. But in fairness, they've been outplayed, outmaneuvered by a brilliant Cork performance.
Yeah, and absolutely. And look, some of these Tipperary players have been, you know, some of the best players we've seen over the last 20 years. Lona Maher, McGraths, Dan McCormack, Bonner-Maher, you know, but they've been on the road an awful long time, and, you know, that's what's happening here today. They're being caught out by pure athleticism and physicality of a younger, fresher, stronger, hungrier team that are trying to put their mark on hurling and trying to win All-Ireland.
Tommy O'Connell goes long. Sean Toomey's in there. Patrick Horgan is hovering. Patrick has it now. They turn and shoot and score. Incredible. Goal and 9 points for the Glen Rovers man, who appeared for his club all of 19 years ago when he was just 17 years of age.
It's incredible, and his level of fitness and movement today is as good as ever. He's down the hunkers now. I think he deserves a little break.
Actually made his debut against Tipperary back in 2008. I think Tipperary people will be glad to see him retire whenever he does retire. Because he really has always produced this sparkling performance for his club and for his county. Just a great hurler.
He does, and he's kept the belief as well, you know, which really impressive. And that's it. That's the final whistle.
It's all over in Semple Stadium. Tipperary have been beaten. Cork continue on. But they started in Páirc Uí Chaoimh against Limerick, the All-Ireland champions, with that incredible performance in the second half. They again produced a magnificent second half performance. And certainly they'll be talking about Cork, and the hurling and the headlines in the papers tomorrow will all be about the Leesiders. The full-time score in Semple Stadium, Thurles. Cork 4 goals and 30 points. Tipperary 1 goal and 21. Michael Dignan, summarise this for me, because what I saw in Páirc Uí Chaoimh last week was 40,000 going onto the pitch. Look at this. The love affair between people of Cork and the game of hurling is just fabulous.
Well, it's back alive. It's back alive, Marty, and you know, there's obviously all sorts of permutations next weekend. But when you play like that, when you have that pride in the jersey, when you have that sort of effort and determination, and then that skill level, their full forward line scored 4-7 today between them. You go back to the old days with Jimmy Barry Murphy, Sean O'Leary, all these. That's what Cork love. Go for it. Go for goals. Terrorise the opposition. The great Kevin Hennessy, all these guys, Tomas Mull, our own Tomas Mull. That's what they were all about. Flair, skill, and their teamwork. And I said it several times during the commentary. Their teamwork today, from 1 to 15, plus their 5 subs, their options off the bench, massive. Brilliant day for Cork. Tipperary will have to reflect, obviously, after that.
A crowd of 43,972 saw Patrick Horgan score a goal and Alan Connolly score a hat-trick. A remarkable day. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Cork have taken over Thurles from pretty early on today, and their players out on the pitch, well, they took over in the second half as well. Well on top against Tipperary in the sand and out on the field. And doesn't Liam Cal cut quite a dejected figure as well? Now, there is a set of circumstances whereby Cork will fail to progress in this year's championship, but it would take quite a bit. We're pretty sure that they are fairly safe at this stage. They may yet make a Munster final, but Limerick, they still have to play Waterford next week. We also have Tip taking on Clare, but Tip are gone from the championship. How does that make you feel, Liam?
Look, I suppose that that team has had a lot of success. It was tough to watch that second half. 3-15 to 9 points in the second half after such a promising start. Myself and Joe were talking about, like, psychologically we felt even if you went in level it would have been even Stephen ought to play for that sucker punch of a goal at half time. But look, as soon as Cork found flow in the second half, they are an exceptional team when they're in full flow. They have pace all over the field. They want to take you on. They must be a nightmare for a defender to mark. And outside of Craig Morgan, I think Tip struggled in every sector today. So tough day for Tip. They've got to go back to the drawing board, and that's that. But you can't complain because Cork were just outstanding on the day and fully deserving of the victory.
Did they just impose themselves in that game and refuse to die or to lose?
I think finally this Cork team are playing as a team. So we've seen in years gone by that especially their forwards would have taken their own scores and not tried to go for goals. And you see it even Hoggy's goal, the last one. Barrett won it, could have tapped it over. Like the game was over at the stage. But he kept going, drew the man, popped the pass, goal. And that's what Cork were missing maybe in the last while was you'd often question, were they playing as a team together? And now in the last two games, and you have to remember, last week, 71 minutes gone, they were practically gone. And now they could be almost maybe Munster final, but they could be through. Now,
and equally, to score 11 goals and 107 points in the 4 rounds, like, it's just like that's an incredible. Like when they're in flow up front, like that's just incredible. Like that, just that volume of scores. I mean, 430 again today, but 11 goals and 107 points in the championship. They honestly could be sitting here on 8 points. Now they're on 4 and they're risky because they had a man sent off in both of their first games, so they were. It's hard to play this game with a man down. So, but they're on 4, and I say, anyone that meets them from here on, if they hang in there, you wouldn't want to meet them. They're an exceptional team.
On the subject of goals, despite the fact that he scored a hat-trick, it wasn't necessarily a slam dunk for who was the man of the match.
Yeah, for me anyway, I thought Shane Barrett was phenomenal the whole way through the game. The runs he was making, the ball he was winning, just setting up play. I thought he was very unlucky, but when a guy gets 3-1, pivotal moments obviously in the game. And fully deserving, but there was a couple of guys that could have got it. Hoggy finished very well. I thought the two Downies hurled very well in the centre of defence, and that has been a problem area, especially full back, like Owen Downey in there, full back. In fairness, a young fella. No, they're very it's pace. It goes back to pace from once they run. They're
but it is Alan Connolly, though.
It is Alan Connolly.
Okay, we got there in the end. Alan Connolly is man of the match. He is with Damien.
Thanks very much, Joanne. Richard Gavin from Centra is here to present Alan Connolly with the Centra man of the match. Richard, would you do the honours, please? Thanks very much. Alan, congratulations to you. How much did you enjoy that game?
Yeah, I suppose I really enjoyed it, but now we can have to play a waiting game now next week to see if we're in or out. So it's kind of a weird situation to be in, but we have to wait till next week to see what the results are. So,
just from a team performance, firstly, how important and how hard was it to rest up, get the heads and body right for this game? Because you certainly did that after beating Limerick last weekend.
I suppose last week, I can't really explain last week. It was just such a good game, and all the fans came back to support us, and they're all here today as well again. So look, we've great numbers still. There's still people backing us, and as I said, we're just gonna have to wait till next week now.
Was the goal before half-time crucial for the mindset? Because you seem to come out with nearly an extra gear in the second half.
Yeah, I think we probably didn't use the inside line probably enough in the first half, and that goal definitely gave us a bit of a lift going into half-time. So yeah, very positive into going into half-time.
I have a last question for you. I know this is a team game, and I know there's a long way to go, but just for you personally, after having a few tough years with injuries, Alan, and you had to bide your time, must have been very, very frustrating, but how enjoyable are days like these now, even though there's a long way to go yet?
Yeah, last week and today are just days we live for. Pat's been saying it all week, Tip and Thurles, it's a tradition, and we just enjoyed it today, and so yeah, just enjoying it.
Best of luck going forward. Thanks, Alan. You're the centre man of the match.
Thanks very much.
It's lovely to see that he quite clearly is enjoying. Why wouldn't you enjoy a day like that out there? And especially when you get those 3 goals. And the point you made, they weren't just 3 goals, but they came at crucial, pivotal times.
Yeah, the one before half-time especially just set them going in at half-time, because as we were saying at half-time, Tip probably would have been happy enough going in, draw a match at half-time, but it was pivotal in the way they were setting up in the second half. And this guy again, Brian Hayes, in fairness, every time he gets the ball, he takes lads on. And Cathal Barrett looked to be injured at that time, and a few minutes later, he gets the puck out. Now, did it have an effect on him getting turned over? But you couldn't say yes or no, but Connolly turned him over himself, done all the donkey work, and a great finish, bounced it again. A brilliant goal. But Barrett wanted to go off before that and wasn't allowed. He went off just after this. So it could be something that Tip might look back on. But you know, great work from a forward. That's what you want. You want them hunting down. Here again, Luke Meade, I thought, had a brilliant game when he came on. Brilliant game, just especially going forward. But here, played a 1-2, even a 1-2-3 if you want. Now, I'd have issues with maybe Barry Hogan there. I think it was a good height for him, and he was like just inside the 21. Great strike, in fairness. But if he was bouncing, if Barry Hogan saved that, you'd be saying, geez, why didn't you bounce it? But at the end of the day, it went in the back of the net, so you don't really mind. But you know, you just have, you can look at it different ways from a Tipperary perspective, from a Cork perspective. But brilliant today from Alan Connolly. He seems to be just a goal machine at the moment, you know. And
absolutely loving it too. Now, Luke Meade's influence was pointed out by Joe. It's obviously hard when a game gets away from one team to point to the influence of the bench, but you can't ignore Shane Kingston popping up with 4 points in a row after he comes on the pitch.
Oh, it was incredible, you know, like, and that is the thing. Even last weekend, you've seen the impact that Cork got off the bench, but you know, this guy came in, and it was his run ultimately that meant Cork are playing for something here today. I mean, he was the one that got brought down for the penalty for Hoggy to go and win the match. But again today, it's just his step and his movement, and he's a very, very good striker. But if he gets on the ball, you're in trouble, because if you rush him, he'll just glide past you, and he's got pace. And here's Gerald Melrick, another guy in off the bench, and you know, he just takes that step inside. Brilliant to make a step. And his striking is of the highest order when he's in flow. And I mean, to come into that match, and you know, you might say the game is over. At the end of the day, he walks into this match and he got 4 points from play, which is an incredible contribution. But equally, Ger Melrick came in, Tommy O'Connell came in and caught a ball, Conor Lehan came in and scored a point. So like Pat Ryan is going in next week, and all of those guys are going into training next week saying, bring it on, you know. So the competition he has now for places is going to be a big, strong point for him. But back to what Joe said, I think the spine of his defence will be one of the most pleasing things for him today, because 3 and 6 were outstanding against Tipperary.
He won't like this question, but does Shane Kingston perform better when he does come off the bench?
If you're being honest and realistic about it, it seems to be that way. He seems to be, anytime he does come in, he always gets a couple of scores. Anytime he starts, sometimes it doesn't go well for him. But you have players like that. Remember Kevin McManaman for Dublin? He used to come on and score a load of goals for Dublin.
He didn't like it either, though.
No, but that's just the way it is, and some people perform maybe better.
But equally, Joanne, like, you take Alan Connolly, Shane Barrett and Brian Hayes, their first instinct every time they get the ball is to take you on. Yeah. So the defenders around the country saying the last team we want to play is Cork, because all they want to do, like Brian Hayes is getting the ball and he's only one thing in his mind, take you on.
Yeah, you know? But they did get loads of space from Tipperary there today. We even saw, like, Tipperary pushed up on puckouts. Their full forward line weren't pulling out, their half forward line weren't pulling out. There was loads of space either wing for Patrick Collins to pick lads out, or even if they went short, to pop them into that space where Barrett was running into and the like. So Tipperary, did they set up rightly? I don't know. They allowed Cork play on their terms today, I felt anyway.
OK, well, it is Cork's Day. It was also Clare's Day a little bit earlier on today, and up in Leinster, very much so Wexford's Day. We've more to come here on the Sunday Game.
Sunway Holidays, one of Ireland's leading holiday specialists, want to give you the chance to jet off to sunny Portugal, taking in an escorted tour of Lisbon. Once there, you will stay 3 nights in a 4-star hotel located in the seaside resort of Estoril. And with its picturesque beaches, quaint streets and vibrant atmosphere, there's plenty to see and do. Check it out on sunway.ie. And so you can sample the local cuisine and explore Portugal, there's €1,000 spending money too. For your chance to win, answer this question. Which of these is the current manager of the Tipperary senior hurling team? Is it Liam Cowell or Henry Shefflin? To enter, call the number on screen or text the word GAME followed by your answer and name to 57117. Calls from the Air network will cost €2.03. Calls from other networks may cost more. You must be over 18 to enter. Lines will close at midday on Monday, 20th of May. Full details are on rte.ie/competitions, where the lucky winner will also be revealed.
The Mains Championship action wrapped up on tonight's Sunday game with Jackie at 9:30, then another busy Saturday game with Damien next weekend. And we have the final weekend of provincial hurling before the finals, obviously. Both Leinster and Munster on next week's Sunday game live from 1:30. Pat Ryan has had some difficult days since he's come in as the Cork hurling manager. In the past 8 days, though, he must have had a couple of the very, very best. Here he is now with Damien.
Pat, what impressed you most about that display?
Look, I suppose, I think our attitude was right from the start. Our ability to turn over the ball was fantastic. Looked like it's a very good Tipperary team. They got a run of us. Their puckouts are excellent. I got a lot of scores off that. Got a great goal at the start, and you could hear the tip crowd coming after us. But I thought we showed good resilience, kept their energy really, really high, and the lads who came off the bench gave us a great lift when they came on, you know.
Would the goal before half-time, would that have been crucial maybe for your guys just to get you up to another level?
Yeah, look, anytime you get a score like that before half-time is all. We won't say it wasn't a boost anyway, but look, I think our fellas were very happy where we were at that game. We were well in it. We were really going after the game, I thought, and look, from our point of view, great performance.
Just the challenges then for you as a manager from the last game against Limerick, just to get the lads, I know you'd been back in on Sunday, to get them mentally and physically fresh for today. Was it any sort of a difficulty for you whatsoever?
No, not really, in fairness. Look, obviously we had two performances that we felt that we could have probably played better in, and we are backs to the wall. So the lads were delighted after the Limerick performance, gave a great confidence in them. But we have a very good strength and conditioning team, very good rehabilitation team, and look, the management team, we all did a good job of getting the fellas back. But it was easy. Look, the lads got their heads on the ground again and ready to go.
For the past year and a half, Pat, how important was it for you guys to all stick together? Like maybe 4 championship defeats by a margin of 7 points in total. You're never far off the mark, and you know you've a long way to go yet, but the signs are really, really impressive. You all stuck together.
Yeah, look, we did. Look, I think in fairness, look, the players could see that things were going well, that training was going well, that the people that were looking after them were of a high standard. But the people who looked after them the last couple of years were at an extremely high standard as well. Kieran left us, Kieran and Dermot and all the lads left us with a fantastic bunch of players that were really committed. So look, the lads are playing for the jersey. We know how much Cork hurling means to it. But look, we've 2 wins. We're still not qualified, and we have to wait on the results for next week.
Last question for you. You made a few changes there a couple of weeks ago, and your subs came on today and had an impact again. Is that what you're looking for now? That competition from, I suppose, outside the 26 to get into the 26, and the competition from the 26 to break into the 15, to keep everybody going at full pelt for the rest of the season?
Yeah, exactly. Look, I think from our point of view, look, the attitude of the lads that were left off after the Waterford game was absolutely top class. Look, you're talking about like Damien Callahan and Jeremy Elric and Tommy O'Connell. You know, they've been leading and driving training. Luke Mead came on today. I know he was very disappointed he didn't get a run last week, but we saw what Luke can give to us and what the ability they can give to us, and look, but that's what you need.
Thanks, Pat.
No problem. Thank you.
Joe, Pat Ryan there, he does strike you as a man who's had so many of the bad days. He's not getting overly carried away with the good ones.
Yeah, but I think they have to appreciate these 2 days, the last week and this week as well. And the fans are still here out in the pitch. It's almost
they're
like
never leaving, I think.
No. And we saw it last week as well when they streamed onto the field, and you saw it here. They were bursting through the gates there and climbing the fence. So they have to appreciate it. All you hope is that they probably get through next week. It's out of their hands now at this stage. So you know, you're hoping they have another day out.
We know that Tipperary, while they technically have another day out there, their championship ambitions are over. Is this the end of the road for some of the greats who particularly performed so well under you?
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, they're out of this year's competition, so you might see them obviously feature again next week. But, you know, Noel McGrath and Bonner Maher, they've done so much service, like they're there since 2008. So what they'll decide to do at the end of the season, you know, I mean, they're both still actively involved. So whether they'll be able to find to go another season, when you see where the game is going and the pace that it's played at. But if it is the last season that we see them, my God, what enjoyment they've given, not just Tipperary people, but people right across the country that watch the game of hurling. They've been fantastic. So, yeah, it's tough for them to take a defeat like that. But, you know, unfortunately, the game doesn't, you know, time moves on, and they'll be fondly remembered, irrespective of what they do next year. They'll be fondly remembered for their contribution to Tipperary hurling over a golden era over the last 15 years.
Yeah, but they are out of the championship for 2024. Here is a reminder of just why, because here is another little look at the Munster table. So as we can see, Limerick, Cork, Clare, Waterford, they can all still progress, but Tipperary, despite having a match next week, they cannot go any further. The top two will go through to the Munster final, third place into a preliminary quarter-final. As for Leinster, now these are the results. The top two from yesterday, but the bottom one there, that is the 3 o'clock game. Carlow, who performed so well against Kilkenny last week, well beaten against Wexford, as Liam, you suggested could happen, because in the event of a head-to-head between Wexford and Dublin for that final point, Wexford needed to try to do a massive scoring swing. Yeah, and that is the thing, you know, you can imagine, I could just picture Keith Roster in the dressing room saying, lads, we got to keep driving. And so they've now given themselves, you know, I think it's a 9-point difference. So if both teams lose next week, they're in. So that's a massive thing. So, but again, you know, Dublin will go and they'll fancy themselves to, if the same performance comes as they had last night, they'll fancy themselves, and Limerick will have, or Wexford will go to Nolan Park, and they beat them there 2 years ago. So there's still a bit to play out in Munster, that's for sure, and Leinster. And of course, like we talked about Carlow today, but we have seen teams bounce back from big defeats, and if they go out and beat Antrim next week, they've secured their place in the Liam McCarthy for next year, and in turn that'd be a bit of a disaster for Antrim. Yeah, exactly. But you'd be hoping that, like, obviously both teams have had a little bit of success already. Antrim winning their game, Carlow drawing with Kilkenny as well. So it's all or nothing really for both sides. But it's really the Galway and Dublin game next week. That's the big one to see who goes through. Because if you remember last year, Dublin were 10 or 12 points up against Galway and ended up drawing the game. You know, Galway's history against Dublin, albeit in a Dublin venue, hasn't been great in Championship. So that's going to be a proper game next weekend in Salthill. OK, we're saying all this as we're still recovering from what's happened today in both Munster venues as well as that one down in Carlow. Big thank you to Liam and to Joe for their time. Do make sure you join us next week from 1:30 for what we do believe should be another one of those roller coaster final days of provincial hurling action. But for now, from all